Well, what do we have here? We have the almost not quite released, but maybe it has released Kobalt 24 volt max brushless. We'll call this the Gen 2 Oscillating Multi-Tool Kit. So maybe you saw this leaked initially on my video about the Kobalt job site radio. Link in the corner if you haven't already seen that and checked out that tool. It's a fantastic tool. But on that one, on the box, we got our first image of this tool, and now we've got this tool in hand to be able to take a look at with you. So what do we got here? This is the Gen 2 of the tool. This comes in a kit with a battery, a charger, a bag, some blades, and some sandpaper. And this tool here is claiming to have low vibration, up to 18,000 oscillations per minute, offering max convenience with a tool-free blade change. With 3.6 degrees of oscillation, LED lights, and a universal fit blade system. And this does come with the standard 5-year warranty, and this is brushless. So let's take a look at and see what you get in this kit. Oh, we should also take a look at the tool grid on the front here. It's interesting on the tool grid here, what I do not see is the Gen 1 oscillating multi-tool on here, but the job site radio show both the Gen 1 and the Gen 2 on the box. Interesting little tidbit there of trivia. So in the box here, we've got a bag, which is great to keep track of all the parts that come with this toolkit. We got a couple manuals here, so we've got the battery, the charger, and the tool. So pulling this out here, we've got obviously the charger. We've got our 2 amp hour battery. Out of the box, this has 2 bars of charge on it. Now we've got another box here with our accessories. We'll open that up in a second. And then we have our tool. With the tool out of the box, let's take a closer look at what we get. So the first thing that I notice about this tool is the fact that the battery mounts at the rear. So that's interesting in terms of how you would set the tool down and how it will balance in your hand when you're using it by having the mass of the battery behind your wrist and parallel to the work surface will make this a slightly lower profile tool from top to bottom compared to a bottom mount battery. Comes with a trade-off in terms of how you'd set it down of needing to put it on its back to keep the blade off of another surface. So that's the first thing I noticed when looking at this tool out of the box. That's seemingly becoming more common to place the batteries like that. Not that big of a deal. Coming right here in the middle of the tool, we've got our trigger for activating the tool. This is much more like a drill that you can depress the trigger here, and it's got a variable speed mechanism. And then to lock it on, you simply press what would otherwise be a forward or reverse switch on, say, the right angle drill, and that will lock the trigger in place. And then the variable speed trigger works in conjunction with your max speed setting on the rear, which is on the top of the battery here, with speeds 1, 2, and 3. So we've got lots of options for how to be able to control the tool. So then moving to the front end of the tool here, you can see we've got dual LEDs at the front to illuminate whatever's in front of the tool. We've got the business end of the tool at the bottom, which is separated and isolated from the rest of the tool to hopefully reduce vibration and to hopefully reduce noise to make this a quieter and more comfortable tool to use, at least in theory. And then we've got a blade release lever at the top that we can turn counterclockwise to release, and that reveals a pin that we can remove, but we don't have to. But you can see where it's got the teeth going around, so we could use the standard universal multi-tool blades with this and not even have to remove the pin, but we can also remove the pin to use perhaps some other blades that require removal. And there might even be another little secret with that we'll take a look at in a moment. So now when it comes to the other accessories besides a battery and charger that are included with this, for what I might consider to be the consumable accessories, we get 3 of these flush cut blades that you would use as perhaps the more normal style blades. These also include serrations on the side for cutting left and right with these. There's also a scraper blade. We've got a rounded cutting blade, a grout removal blade, and a triangular sandpaper holder for detail sanding. And then we get 9 pieces of sandpaper and 3 different grits. So starting at the bottom here, we got 60 grit sandpaper, 3 pieces of 120 grit sandpaper, and 3 pieces of 180 grit sandpaper. So we've got a pretty basic set of accessories to start with. There's quite a few other novel type accessories that you might add onto this for more detailed sanding, other specific cuts that you might want to make. And with this universal attachment system, that's pretty standard. You've got a wealth of other third-party accessories that you can pick up at a retailer of your choice, from other brands of your choice, to be able to use with this Kobalt tool. If the universal attachment system is not your cup of tea and you find something else that interests you, that's in the Starlock system, or you're working on a job with a buddy with a Starlock tool who's got extra Starlock blades, this tool has an extra little hidden secret. If we pull the pin out and we take a Starlock blade, so here's one of the flex blades that you can pick up, and you can take any one of these Starlock, the normal Starlock, not the Starlock Plus or the other Starlock variants, but just a standard Starlock blade, and you can drop that on the end of the tool just like that, and you can really see the magnet at the end that helps to hold the blade on while you're attaching it. And you can obviously rotate these and put this in any orientation that you want. And with the Starlock blades, you can even flip it upside down and attach it like that, if that makes sense for the job that you're trying to do. Put the pin in, retract it, and you're good to go. So we also have, in addition to the universal blades, the Starlock blades that are compatible with this tool. Something that I think is quite nifty for being able to unlock a world of accessories. The downside with the Starlock blades is it is not tool-free for the addition of it. The other interesting thing on this tool is if we look at the head here, you can see there's some grooves around the head, which makes me think that there might be the possibility for some attachments that might be able to come in the future for this tool. Perhaps, say, a depth stop or a dust shroud for sanding. And so with that in mind, I thought I would try the Bosch Starlock depth stop tool. Unfortunately, this is not compatible with the Kobalt tool. The head on the Kobalt tool is just large enough that it doesn't fit. So it does not appear that some of the Bosch multi-tool accessories will work with this Kobalt tool, but I'm optimistic that there might be some accessories in the future coming out for this tool. Looking at the measurements of the tool, going from head to tail, we're looking at right about 13 inches long without a battery, and then in the thickness side here, without a blade, we're looking at about 4¼ inches tall at the head. Obviously, when you add a blade, we're looking at the thickness of the blade at that forward-most point of the tool. And now with the kitchen scale out, let's measure the tool here. This is checking in with no battery at about 2.34 pounds, give or take. 37.48 ounces, or 1,063 grams. So that's without a battery in this tool. So when it comes to batteries for this tool, perhaps the most obvious choice is a 2 amp hour battery that's included with the kit, as that would provide probably the best combination of balance when this is in your hand, that is not too unwieldy and too awkward to be able to hold. But in theory, if you were feeling really crazy, you could slide on the 4 amp hour one. And with the 4 amp hour battery, that's not too bad. The 4 amp hour battery also allows you to kind of stand it up, although I would not recommend it because that's not the most stable position for the tool. And if you're really crazy, you could even put on the 8 amp hour battery on this tool because they're all compatible with the new multi-tool. But like I said originally, the 2 amp hour that it comes with in the kit is probably going to be your best combination of size, weight, and balance when this is being held in your arm, that your arm is not being torn off you while you use it. So with that in place here, we've got the battery on. Let's go ahead and hear how this tool sounds. No load, no blade, just the battery. And if I just quarter press the trigger, my speed selection here illuminates, if you can hopefully see that. And then I can change that by pressing the little silver button here for speeds 1, 2, and 3. I was not able to see anything in the manual that specifically says the range for speeds 1, 2, and 3, but because of the variable speed trigger, you're going to have some range as to what your speed is that you're operating. So whether you need to go faster or slower, you can crank it up or down and use your finger to control the speed. I wish I had some specific numbers on these, but that was not provided. So now we're going to go all the way into speed mode 3, and we can listen to the tool. Not bad. So when it comes to vibration, I just want to give this one more quick test. So I grabbed a nickel out of my pocket, just a general ordinary American nickel. And if I take this tool and I put it all the way up to speed mode 3, and I set the nickel all the way back here at the end of the tool, and I depress the trigger with the blade on it. Obviously there's no load on this while testing this. You can see how that nickel stood put there. Just for comparison, here's the Gen 1 Kobalt multi-tool, factory blade installed, one of the extras out of this kit. And I want to go ahead and turn this on. This is set all the way up to speed mode 6, because this one has a rotary dial here for setting our speeds. Now obviously this has had some use and abuse over the last couple of years, so so maybe this is not the most perfect test. But I'm going to go ahead and turn this on by pushing the switch. And hopefully you can see how that nickel was dancing on the Gen 1 tool by comparison. For our first test today, I'm going to take our regular Kobalt blade, include it in the box. Go ahead and set that on the end of the tool, let the magnet hold it on, lock it in place, and now we're going to try to cut the corner off this piece of what is now about approximately a 1x3 piece of clear white pine. No problem. If we need to plunge into this and create a little recess, and just like that, we've got this corner cut out here of this piece of wood. So it cuts great. So far, it's feeling great in my hands. So now for our next test, we're going to take a drywall screw and partially sink that into a scrap piece of 1x pine. And now we're going to take our Gen 2 with a stock blade right out of the box and go ahead and try to cut off the screw. So in closing here, I'm fascinated by the updates found in the Gen 2 version of the Kobalt Oscillating Multi-Tool. Are any of these on its own a standalone showstopper? Not necessarily, but when put together, I think it's fascinating how the change in the balance and ergonomics of the tool with the rear battery design combined with the independent head at the front end of the tool all combine Along with the other feature here I don't think I mentioned earlier is the fact that I can remove this battery with relative ease, and even has some dampening at the rear end of the tool to hopefully extend tool life and battery life, because vibrating batteries are bad for the life of the battery. So all that put together makes this a great update to the tool. Obviously, it costs a few more dollars than the old one, and you may be able to find the old one on clearance coming up here soon, price reductions, and all those other fun games that come with shopping for tools. So if you get any other questions or comments about this tool, go ahead and put it down in the comments below. We'd love to hear about it. I'd like to also thank today the folks behind the scenes at Kobalt for helping bring this video to you today by supplying this tool for review. If you like great content like this, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. There's a playlist of other Kobalt tool reviews that I've got here that this will be a part of, so check that out if you're interested. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day. Bye.